Hey there, this is K4A, Knowledge for All, educational videos and tutorials. Today I will try to show you how and when you can use Scratch block, which is called Add to List. In a previous video we have learned how to make a list, but that list is empty and it has no value to our game like that, so we have to add something into it. For the games or any kind of other application and program you make, you would probably add some kind of numbers or text, strings or objects into the list. So let's see how you can do that in Scratch. And again, this is Scratch only. Sometimes if you jump to another game engine, some things may differ, so be aware of that. I was making this video a couple of times already, but it took me too long and there was lots of stuff I tried to explain, so this time I will try to make it shorter and more concise. Okay, so first of all, you can hide or see the list which you have on the screen, because sometimes you would need to see those, sometimes you won't. Like for example, if I want to start my game, to play my game, I don't want to see those two ugly tables lists on my left and my right, because I don't see anything else behind them. I want to see environment, enemies, player, and so on. So it's easy to do it. Just click on this checkbox here, inventory, and it will hide the inventory, quest, and it will hide the quest. And it works same as you click on this to show, hide, or show icons for sprite. So same for this, and same with variables or other stuff we have learned before. Like if I click on checkbox my variable, or for example username, or whatever, you can click on the checkbox. So I would leave this here for now, inventory. And what do I want to do now in my video? I will show two examples. The first one will be more useful to most of you and more fun, interesting, and you will understand it probably faster. The second one would be a little bit boring or slower and not so much fun, but also very important, and it's something also you need for some kind of games. In short, sometimes you will need to add things while you play game into your list. For example, the example which I will try to show here is to add some items into inventory. So again, if you think about it, will I add some items into my inventory? That depends on me, on my choice. Sometimes I will do that, sometimes I won't. Scratch doesn't know that, so that's called gameplay. That's called runtime in game development. So this first example would be adding some kind of items into the list in runtime, so while the game plays. So let's try to do it. In my case, I will, for example, add some kind of, I will pick food, sprites, apple, and maybe bananas, and maybe orange. Okay, just to have a different, not basketball but orange. Okay, just to have different stuff on the screen. So I will make size of the apple a little bit, yeah, like 70%, and same with bananas, and that's it. Okay, I will put my Scratch cat here, I will put my apple here. So what do I want to do here? I need my game to, when I collect this apple here with my cat, when I touch it, I want that apple to disappear from the screen and to show up here in my inventory as some kind of information. So let's try to code that. I'm coding in my sprite 1, that's my cat, I will call it cat, and I will first need to add some kind of simple motion connected to when I press right arrow, go right, that means go onto the x axis by 10, like this. Okay, that works. And I will now copy paste or duplicate this one and say, okay, when I press left arrow, go minus 5, maybe better, and plus 5. So I have coded a very simple movement here, so I can have my cat move left and right when I press my buttons. Okay, simple as that. So what I want to code here, I want to say, okay, when my cat touches the apple, hide the apple. I will do that in apple sprite. So look, I need look, hide. I want to hide my apple. And when do I want to do that? I want to do that if the cat, so I need if, I need hide, and I need some kind of condition. If the cat touches, if it's touching what? Sorry, if the apple is touching the cat, because we're coding in the apple sprite. If we were coding in the cat, we would use a different option here. So we are asking here, if the apple is touching the cat, then hide. It will hide the apple because I'm in apple sprite. And when to do that, I want to check that how many times, once or all the time. I want to check that all the time because I don't know when the cat will touch it. Maybe it will happen never, maybe it will happen in the first second of the game. And do that when our game starts. So let's see if that works when I start my game. Okay, we have learned this before. This works, this is great. The problem here is that when I start the game here again, I don't see my apple anymore. Why is that so? Is it a bug? No, it's not a bug, it's a feature. That's because we never said here to scratch. Okay, this is all cool, but what will happen when the game starts again? When the game finishes, the apple is hidden, hide it. Okay, but we need to show it when the game starts. So every time when the game starts, first show the apple and then check this. Okay, simple as that. So every time now when I start my game again, my apple will be visible again. Okay, that's so cool, but that is something which we have learned a long time ago. So let's try to add some kind of interactivity here and connect it to our list finally. So add what, when, what do I want to do here? I want to do this. When my cat touches the apple, hide the apple. That's what we have already done. And then do what? Add that apple to my inventory. So add apple to inventory, and I can put it here under or before hide. It will it doesn't make much more difference, I think, because it's very fast. So let me try that and check the inventory now. Check the inventory. Currently it's empty and the length is 0. So when I touch the apple, oh nice, so I have apple in my inventory. Problem here, another. Every time I start my game, there will be apple in my inventory now because I have added it in my previous gameplay. So okay, it adds another, but that doesn't make much sense. So we would have to reset this list. That's what we are going to do soon in next video. But so far, just think about it, that you have learned how to add some kind of information into the list in a runtime. Again, what means runtime? Runtimes means when I play my game. So for example, Scratch Cat can go left and right like this and never touch the apple here, so the apple won't be in my list. But if it does, if it decides to pick the apple during the game, during the runtime, here it is. So this works well. And again, don't think about much about these examples which I'm using here. So for example, use it whatever you need it for your game, if you need it, when you need it. So for example, if I duplicate this apple and make copy of it, but first of all let me move a little bit here. Okay, so this is apple 2. Oops. So I will put it on the left. So I can code objects to have different information added to my list. So first apple could, for example, add apple as a text, as a string, as a word. And the second apple, I could, for example, if I need it in my game, type some crazy number here or whatever word I want, Mickey Mouse or whatever, and it will be added to my list. So any kind of information you want to add to list, you can do it. Sometimes it will be word, text, string, and sometimes it will be number. So let me see what will happen when I add this apple. Okay, apple, and now check the item number 6, 1386. And so why is that so? Because we said here add that number to inventory when I pick up the apple. So again, it's all about what you need, when you need. And as we have seen here, Scratch doesn't care much when you combine numbers and apples, numbers and words in your list. And also what we can see here, that you cannot see the whole number here. One way to solve it is just to click here on your list bottom right corner and drag and resize it until you see it. And you can, for example, if you have some really long number or word, you can resize it like this. But this is not usable for games. You cannot see what's happening behind the list and so on. So it's all just for your informational purpose, just to see what's happening in the game. It's not supposed to cover whole the screen here. And this is inventory. This is inventory list, and that was, we have learned how to add information in it during the runtime. But the other, I will now hide the inventory and show the quest. The other thing important here is to understand that you can add items, information into list before the game starts. That means before the runtime. Runtime is, as we said, gameplay, during the game, during while the game runs. And before that, sometimes you will need to add some kind of information. So for example, I need to add some kind of information before my cat starts moving. So when the game starts, add some quest here. So I want to start my game with a list of 5 quests, for example, and let me try to add those. The process is same. The only difference is that Scratch will read these add first time and once only, and then start to play your game. So it will happen sure, because we will add it here when the game starts, and it will not depend on your player. This apple and information in it, which will be added to list is depending on will the player take it, will the player take the left one or right one. If it doesn't, the list will be empty. But in this case I want to add some kind of quest to my list. So for example, the first quest could be collect apples. So another would be collect oranges, and so on. So I will now do that when the game starts. So it doesn't care if the cat started moving or not, if I'm collecting or not. Every time I start my game, my quest list will be filled with those two quests. Again, I can add 10, 50,000 quests, it doesn't matter. For this example, 2 is more than enough. Just take a look at the quest list. So when I start my game with my green flag, I will add collect apples, I will add collect oranges to my quest list. Simple as that. And it works. So this can be quest list, and my game starts now. Okay, so later we can learn how to code how you can delete these information here. So for example, when you collect 10 apples, the quest is finished, give the player a reward and delete the quest. Same goes with oranges and so on. The problem here is that every time when I start my game, I will do what? Same as with inventory. Scratch remembers everything until you tell him to delete information, to forget something. So when I start my game, again, what will happen? Because I said here add some information to quests, I will add same quest again when I start it again. So you can see here in quest lists, see how this is growing and making things messy. We don't want to do that, and we will solve that in next video. But in short, we have learned how to add some kind of information and items into the lists, and to do it in two ways. The first one was during runtime in our inventory list. When our player collects or touches the apples, add some kind of information item in inventory list, and before runtime, before the game plays, add some kind of quest item, quest information into the quest list. So it's very simple. I have talked a little bit too long as usual, but we have learned, I hope, lots of new stuff, and very important, and the stuff which you will need if you want to make complex games. It's simple as that. The more complex games you want to make, the more information you need, the more information you need and have. You need to store that information. Sometimes you can use variables to store simple and small amount of information. Sometimes when you have lots of stuff, lots of information, numbers, oranges and apples and strings and text and objects and sprites, you will have to save that information into arrays, into lists, and so on. This was very important, and we will continue with lists in a couple of next videos. See you soon, and thanks for watching.